Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here, and if you give me just a few minutes here, I will cure low motivation in less than 24 hours. Consider me the motivation doctor. I'm going to give you a quick idea here. Now, before I do, if your motivation is so low and so cooked to the point where you literally can't even watch a quick 10-minute video on how to fix it, then there's nothing I can do to help you. So first of all, you've probably heard of the idea before that motivation gets you started, discipline keeps you going, or habit keeps you going. And you probably believe that and know that motivation isn't necessarily the secret to being successful or the secret to getting rich, but it is important. And a lot of people downplay the importance of it because everyone's all about discipline, habit. You shouldn't rely on motivation. And that's true, but building discipline and building habits is kind of like building a fire. Every fire has to start with a little spark, if that makes sense. And you don't need much of a spark to start a massive house fire. In fact, this massive building I'm in here, if someone just lit a lighter, tiny little flick, and set a carpet on fire, the entire thing will go up in flames. And so you don't need much, okay? And the same thing is true for motivation. You don't need much to get the ball rolling, and you can completely fix your life with just 24 hours of strong motivation. By the way, just whilst I got you here, in the description is a link to a program called Imperium Academy. It's a 6-week training program with 80 hours of content showing you how to make your first $100,000 online and achieve financial freedom. It's completely free, recorded by me for you, no credit card required, 30,000 people already in there getting results. Check it out. The reason that you're not motivated is because motivation, as you're probably aware, is connected to your dopaminergic system or your dopamine system. This is a mechanism in your brain that regulates reward and anticipation. Things like video games, things like junk food, things like alcohol, anything that brings instantaneous instant gratification is basically putting your dopamine system into overdrive. Now, the thing about this is what happens is in order for you to become successful, in order for you to get in shape, in order for you to get a girlfriend or get rich or achieve any sort of outcome you want to achieve, you need to participate in and act out behaviors that suck and that don't bring instantaneous reward. And so one of the main reasons, in fact, the only reason that so many young men have low motivation and struggle to get any sort of work done in any sort of positive direction is because they're getting so much dopamine and so much reward from everything else that isn't the work. And so the easiest way to drastically spike your dopamine is to strip yourself in just for 24 hours of all behaviors that are doing anything to your dopamine system. What you want to learn to do, if you have really low motivation, is do something called a dopamine fast. And this isn't a particularly new idea, but if you do it right, I'm going to explain how to do it right, and you do it properly, you can reset your entire system in 1 day, 2 days max, and completely rewire. And so what you want to think about is imagine that your brain, it has this boredom mechanism, and boredom feels quite painful. You know, boredom feels kind of sucky. It feels like we're not receiving any stimulation, and no one likes to be bored. And what you need to learn to do for just 1 day is be as bored as you possibly can. That's the idea of a dopamine fast. So here's how it works. What you do is you commit to 24 hours of doing absolutely nothing. No masturbation, no food. The only thing you can drink is water, so no coffee, no video games, no socializing, no social media, literally nothing. Like the only thing you can do is pretty much sit and like maybe go like for a walk or something, stare out the window and drink water and just lie down and just stare at the ceiling. If you do that for 24 hours, what will happen is you will become so bored that your dopaminergic mechanism, your dopamine regulation levels, that your dopamine will regulate down to a super low level, which means that such a minimal amount of stimulation is required to free you of this feeling of boredom. And this is really cool because when you do this, when you don't eat, when you don't do anything for 24 hours, literally nothing, not even eating fruit, not even eating meat, like not even talking to your friends on WhatsApp, like not even like talking to your family, not even like going for a run, I'm talking nothing, like not even a cold shower, not even a warm shower, just laying there in your own filth, if you will. But nothing, because by the way, cold showers and warm showers produce a ton of dopamine. And what you'll start noticing a day, like a couple hours into this fast, is your brain wants to do anything to relieve itself of this boredom. If you push through for 24 hours, you go to sleep, you want to go to sleep really early, because you're going to be fasted, you'll wake up really early. And what you do at the 24-hour mark is you do the thing that you didn't want to do when you had no motivation. Like I'm talking like you go on the run that you've been putting off, you clean your entire room, you know, and you'll start doing these things by the way anyway, like your brain will just start seeking all the stimulation. You know, then you'll start doing the cold calls or you'll do the work or you'll do the thing that you've been putting off. You know, whatever it might be, whether it's trying to start that business or whatever. And what you will find, and this is the secret, what you will find is that thing that you hated the idea of doing is now one of the most pleasurable things you can do. And it's because when you have done 24 hours of a dopamine fast, your dopamine levels and your motivation levels to do something is so high because you're so bored that the first thing that you do is associated with a massive amount of pleasure. And so when you finish the 24-hour dopamine fast, you're doing an actual water fast, which means you're not eating anything. What you want to do is break that fast with the healthiest foods that you've always struggled to eat. Because what starts to happen, if you do this once every 2 weeks, for 6 months, your brain will start to associate the thing that you want to do with being one of the most pleasurable activities on the planet possibly for you. And if you do that every 2 weeks, I would honestly say do it every 2 weeks, then what happens after 6 months or so is you've got 12 different times that your brain can connect that behavior to extreme levels of pleasure. And so this is how I became completely addicted to my work. And this is also how I don't really receive any dopamine from anything else except for my work. I just did this pretty much every 2 weeks for the best part of like 3 years. And now, to me, eating really clean is so rewarding and so motivating, and so is work. The key thing is to have the discipline to not binge. Like, make the next day after the 24 hours all about doing the thing that you didn't want to do. Does that make sense? And if you can just do that once every 2 weeks for a few months, you'll completely rewire your perception. It's just like doing a normal fast, and it's just like stripping, like when you fast, like your body goes into autophagy, which means it starts burning, like when you haven't got any, when it can't access as much energy from your glycogen reserves, it starts burning your fat, it starts burning dead cells, it starts burning toxins, and that's kind of what your brain will do. Like, it will start burning away these, these neural circuits, these neural sort of pathways you've got with all these behaviors that aren't associated with the thing that you do after the fast. So anyway, that's just a quick little thing that you can do to just skyrocket your motivation in literally 24 hours. Doing this has made me north of nearly $40 million at this point. And yeah, I hope you find it useful.